Welcome everybody to my tutorial on Photoshop CS5. This is going to be a combination of review and tutorial, just because this is the new Photoshop and I thought I would give my 2 cents about what I thought. So we're going to start out with content aware fill. This is the new feature that supposedly we can take an object out of a picture and the viewer won't even notice, and we can do this fairly quickly. This is what Adobe says, so let's give it a try. I already created my path before I started the video, and I'm going to select it over here around this dog, and we're going to go to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to select Content Aware, which is already selected, and click OK. Once I do that, deselect. Now the results are not great, and this is what I noticed with Content Aware Fill. I noticed that more elements in a picture, and the more complicated I guess it gets for the software to realize that the objects around need to be filled, and that's where content aware fill comes in, is that it's supposed to fill in those empty areas with the space around it, and the results are just, it's not good enough for me to use this professionally. Even on low resolution pictures where you can get away with a lot more, I just wouldn't. And that's just me personally. If you guys think differently, let me know. The next new feature, and we just bring the dog back. The next new feature we have here are the brushes. Adobe brought us a new brushes panel here, where we still have the brushes from the previous version of Photoshop, but now we can see the actual brush, which is pretty cool. So it's like a physical brush that we'd actually paint with in real life. And even if you use the brush, you can see that it's animated and moving. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a little nuance, and if you're using this software to create graphics, I thought that would be something useful to people, especially if you're trying to create some textures or whatever it is, and you can start using that brush and seeing how if the actual physical brush moves around with it. And that's that. The next feature I thought was pretty interesting is the Puppet Warp tool. Now if you're familiar with Adobe After Effects, they have the Puppet Warp tool as well, and I've used it before, and it's another interesting tool that you can use, but now in Photoshop. And let me select the dog one more time, and I'm going to copy it, paste in a new layer. And this time, we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to select Puppet Warp. Now, maybe I should just zoom in first. Let me do this one more time. Let me go to Edit, Puppet Warp, and I'm going to start making selections around the dog. And what the Puppet Warp tool is intended for is for animation. So when I make these random selections around the dog, I'm pinpointing areas that will allow me to animate various spots around the dog, and I'll show you. I'm going to select the paw over here, and see I can move it. Pretty cool. And that's what the Puppet Warp tool does. Come back out here. One last feature I thought was a good addition to Photoshop CS5 was Mini Bridge. I'm going to select it here. If you're familiar with Bridge, this is the program that allows you to preview your assets. And Mini Bridge actually just opens up directly in Photoshop, and I thought that was a good idea from Adobe. So, you guys tell me, what do you think about the new software? I'm saying this: if you use this on your free time and this is just something you play around with, I don't really think you need the new version of Adobe Photoshop CS5. If you're using this professionally, I say go ahead and get it, because it's always a plus to have the latest software, and when you're working with other people, you want to tell them that you have the latest software, especially with all the new stuff coming out from Adobe. So on a professional, from a professional perspective, I say go get the software. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.